Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks for popping in. As always, lovely to have your company. Now today I'm popping in and I'm going to create a tag, something like this. I say something like because you know what I'm like, it's very difficult creating the same thing twice. And the reason I'm doing that is at our recent Fairy Craft Festival, I was given a challenge, and that was I was given 3 products, and some of you ladies actually chose the products I was using. And I was allowed to use the new stamps and my black VersaFine Clear ink pad, and I had 5 minutes to create a tag. Now, unfortunately, because the way the camera was set up, it wasn't easy getting everything in shot. And also, I must admit, we were a bit raucous. There was a bit of noise at the Fairy Craft Festival because we're all enjoying ourselves. So I know some of you missed this. And to be honest, 5 minutes, it was obviously quite, for me, rushed. You know, I'm not good at doing quick things. So I thought a few of you have asked about it, so I thought if you didn't mind, I'd do it again here and explain what I'm doing and why. So this is the sort of thing I'm going to do. Now, the idea was, obviously I've got a tag, and these are Lavinia and the watercolour cards, so these are fabulous. Now, the products that you wanted me to use, one was PanPastel. So I have to say, I chose my lovely white pearl fine medium because I find that really, really useful. And if you've not used PanPastels, this is one that you can add. And I love things in my work and my creative play that I can add to products I've already got. So that's what I'm going to use then. I've got my applicator. Now, again, a few of you on the video asked about this. And this is a sponge applicator, and it has a couple of heads in, and all these things, I'll put the link in, they're all on our website. And this is a very useful tool for adding the pastel to smaller areas. Now, the other thing was you wanted me to use an Elements ink pad. So there were a few suggestions, Midnight Blue and Blue Atoll. So I went for the Blue Atoll. Now, stencil brushes, they're allowed. So I've got those. And the other thing you asked was the white Posca pen. So I've grabbed a couple of white Posca pens. Now, when we're talking about Posca, if you remember, so this is acrylic paint inside here, so it's permanent once it's dry. Now, a few of you have asked about the nib sizes, and the main ones I use is the 1M, and on the side, look, it will tell you here, PC 1M. And so that's a narrower nib. And if I show you, then we have the 5M. I keep forgetting where the camera is. So obviously the 5M, and that's a bullet nib, so that's a bit chunkier. And for me, these are fabulous. That the finer one for fine detail and the chunkier one. I mean, you can make splats with the smaller one, but you get bigger splats. So depending, I like to have the two. Now, I must admit, I was a bit sneaky. I've got some of my, obviously the new release out, and I've got my black VersaFine Clear. But I was a bit sneaky and I snuck in one of the circle acetate masks. I said to Jamie, because Jamie was filming, I said, because it's see-through, it doesn't count. So that was me being a bit cheeky. So I've snuck that in as well. So what I did first was, and again, this is almost sort of a quick tag. And the idea here is that you've got a few products, you've not got a lot with you. What would you do? So I'm going to bring in Ginger. Now, this is a fabulous owl, and he sits with his head tilted, but I'm just going to use him. He also looks great just popping in at the side of a design. And if you notice, I'm trying to be very mindful of not putting my block recently. If I've put my block on my work, and it's something I've noticed a lot of you do at workshops, we're all guilty of it. But if you have ink on there and it transfers on your finished piece, like mine did, it soon makes you think, I must stop doing that. Isn't it funny? It's only when we do these things that we think, oh, mustn't do that again. Right. So I'm just going to come in, and I just want him peeping in there. Now, he's an absolutely gorgeous. I love him. I really do. I mean, I know we say we love stamps, but for me, I've got to be honest, I find the ones that I keep using again and again without really thinking about it are the ones that I know really, you know, they are my favourites. But I know we shouldn't have favourites because it upsets the other ones. But look at that, the detail there. And I was pressing on quite hard because I'm not that good at stamping. I do struggle with it. But also remember, this is watercolour card. Smooth, but it's still watercolour card. So we've got him there. And what I'm going to do is just blot him, because obviously it's slower drying ink. So I want to blot it so I don't smudge my work. And then we'll come in with our circle. You see the larger one, the circle mask. That's why I had to sneak this in. But as I say, see-through, so we can't see it. Just magic. Now again, I'm just always getting into the habit of popping it on the lid. And this is a great way of practising your blending. And almost once I've flicked, it's almost a flicking motion to start off with. I know we've got some new followers, so it's a flick. But once I've flicked the ink, I then almost do circular motions. And I find when I lift that off, look, and again, I mean, you could fade that out and leave that as it is. I mean, how striking if you needed a quick tag. I mean, those eyes. But what we're going to do, we'll add a bit more ink. And I want it quite deep at the base. So I'm just going to come in at the corners. Obviously stronger colour at the corners. Turn it round. And again, stronger colour at the top. Now you could keep the mask on if you think you're going to go over it, but I don't think I will. Now, what I'm actually going to do now is I want to stamp these lovely words. And this is the Wise Owl. Little tip with word stamps, I always put a black arrow on the back. Because again, to be honest, once you've done made a project that you're really happy with and you stamp your words upside down, you soon learn to think, right, how can I not do that again? Now, I don't want to stamp them in black. And obviously I've not got another VersaFine Clair ink. So I'm going to use my Elements. So it's all about using what you've got. Normally I wouldn't use my Elements just because I like the sharpness of the VersaFine Clair. One thing to watch with the Elements, because this is such a spongy pad, it's almost a very light touch when you're inking up. So I'm just going to bring this a little bit closer. So bear with me, just because I need to get my head over. And I'm not pressing too hard. And again, I don't mind when I'm inking up if I miss bits. I'm being very gentle because I want it to look like it's such a lovely background. And I'm going to come over there just a little. I like the fact of, because I want it to look like it's that sort of distressed background. So I'm leaving little bits. So if you look, and that for me just adds to the whole design. And what I'm going to do, just going to wipe that again, clean space, clean it with my Inky Binky, just a wet cloth, and then Mr. Inky Binky cleans it all up. Now, I just want to add a couple of the words, and on this Nightfall set we've got lovely words, and I'm going to put the word hoot on. Like I say, this is definitely slower than it was on Saturday. Definitely longer than my 5 minutes, isn't it? I bet we've been probably going about 10 minutes already. You can imagine. So let's have a look, and we'll pop that here. And then in the set, there's a lovely set called Woodland Set. And it's got a feather in. And I've got to be honest, I love this feather. There's something about feathers. And I'm just thinking if we can have a feather almost just floating down there. And then we need one here just to balance it up. Now, if you were going to put a sentiment like happy birthday, you could leave the second feather off. But I'm thinking, and if I put it this way, look, just there. Now, I must admit, on the one that I made on Saturday, I put a black mark here. In my rush, see, shows I need to take my time, but the feather came in very useful to actually go over that black mark just off the... So I think that feather could be, you know, when we use a butterfly, I think the feather could be the new butterfly. Now again, I would just put some ink around the back and maybe even stamp the words around, leaving enough space for you to just add your greetings in the middle. Always looks nice if you finish the back off. Now, I wanted to add my PanPastels here to add a bit of a glow for the moon. But also, I'm thinking I'm going to add a little bit of colour to our gorgeous ginger. Now, this is where these little brushes, the number 3, come in really well. And I use these so much almost for painting. So it almost looks like I'm colouring in but using my brush. And again, they're very good if you're against the clock. And I just want that hint of blue. And that way, we've got that lovely cohesive design, but also we've not used a lot of products. Now, obviously, if you had more things, you can add more colour. But this is, you know, again, if you've got limited supply. I think that's enough because I don't want to do too much. And this is where my PanPastel is going to come in. And with this, I can add my gorgeous shimmer look around the moon. And I'm just going to use my finger to just smudge it. But then I was thinking this could almost be like a snowy owl. And I'm thinking, imagine at Christmas. Now, because I've added the ink underneath, it will show through. And I like that hint of blue, but with the white. And I'm just smudging it because it will help fix the pastel. Now, if you wanted to completely fix it, you just use a spray fixative. A little bit on his eye there. But for me, for this small area, I find just by blending it with my finger will be enough to take almost the loose pastel off, and the other will be fine. But as I say, for a larger area, when I do full projects, I just use a spray fixative. And then the last item that you wanted included, the Posca. So, shake. With the small Posca, I'm just going to go over the highlight on the feather. And maybe just highlight his eyes and his beak. I nearly said his nose then. And if you wanted to add any on the dots. Now again, I'd be tempted to add a blue, but obviously I'm not allowed. We're just doing it with these products. So we'll come in with the larger Posca. Again, give that a good shake. It's noisier, that larger ball bearing. And we'll just tap. And the one thing I've discovered with the Posca, we're calling it its sweet spot. And it's the area here. It seems to work best, well mine do anyway, if I tap it here. There doesn't seem to work well. On the actual barrel doesn't work well. But this larger area here seems to be, and I can direct it, look. So if I want to get Posca on the feather, and look at that, we've actually got it mainly on the feather, because I know some of you said you get it everywhere. So I can direct it. Let's try and go around the word hoot. We'll go around ginger and we'll add some at the base. And I want some over that feather. Now, obviously, the larger splash you want, the firmer you tap it. But also, I did say on Saturday, if you're in a bad mood, do you know what? Or you've had a stressful day, this is a fabulous way to get rid of some anxiety. And I would recommend it. So we'll give this a wipe. And there we have, look, our 5 minute, but we're probably talking 15 today. But we needed a catch up, didn't we? That's our tag. And look at the sheen. I do think it makes a lovely snowy owl. I was a brownie leader for a while, and to be honest, my name was Snowy Owl. I was a beaver leader, then a brownie leader, then I went to be a cub leader. But yes, so I'm there, little Snowy Owl, look. So many things you can do with these stamps though. So I'm hoping you've enjoyed that. And again, we didn't use a lot, did we? So if you're one of our lovely new crafters and you have only got limited supply, don't think you need everything to create a masterpiece. I mean, I think that is just beautiful as it is. And sometimes less is more. But also a little tip, if your mojo goes, and I know it can, sometimes we do surround ourselves with far too many products. So maybe just get out one ink pad, you know, one VersaFine Clair, one Elements, some stencil brushes. And obviously you're always allowed that circular. Anything that's see-through, you're allowed extras. And just get a couple of stamps out and see what you create. So have fun. I hope you have a lovely weekend when it arrives. And I'll see you again soon. Love and hugs from me, and thanks for all your lovely comments, everyone. Bye for now.